welcome to episode 86 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today's the 3rd of October already. So you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last 7 days. So just quickly before we start, you can find me on Instagram, Ravelry and Facebook as Craft House Magic, and the show notes for the podcast can be found at crafthousemagicco.uk, where you can also find my hand-dyed yarn, handmade project bags and stitch markers, etc. We've got a few announcements, and then I've got some knitting and some crochet today. It's going to be a short podcast because I've got lots and lots of packing to do for the advent calendars that I've sold over the last couple of months. So I really want to get those out and completely sent to everybody who's ordered them by the mid next week. So I'm going to be really busy working on that. Next week I can have a proper longer podcast and share with you lots more things. So I normally do a gadget and a blast from the past at the beginning of every month, but I'm going to leave that till next week for a longer podcast then. So we've got Barbara's Day Out on Sunday. So Barbara's Day Out is a sort of Norwich knitting meetup or crochet meetup or any craft where we meet and just chat and have a good time and socialise really. So this time we are meeting on Sunday the 6th of October at 12 o'clock at the Nelson Hotel. The Nelson Hotel is a Premier Inn hotel, and we're meeting in the restaurant inside, which is called Table, and we're meeting at 12 o'clock, and I said sort of 12 till 3 sort of thing, so we can have a good chat and we can order food if we want to. There's snacks and main meals or just drinks if you want to order those, so that's going to be lovely. And we've also got some craft alongs going on at the moment in the Ravelry group. So we've got 3 craft alongs going on. We've got the Country Garden Knit Along, the Halloween Craft Along and the Festive Craft Along as well. And I'm not going to go into details of those because I have done on the last 3 podcasts, I think. And you're going to get sick to death of hearing me reiterating the same thing again and again. So you can either go back to those podcasts, or if you go over to the Ravelry group, there's details of those at the top of the page before everyone started commenting. I am so behind on my Ravelry messages at the moment, so I'm really trying to catch up with those. But hopefully, once I've got all my advent calendars sent out, I can then catch up with everything. So there we go. That's all the sort of introductory stuff done. And we need to get straight into the knitting, I think. So knitting wise, I've been working on my Antler Cardigan. Now this is going to be a bit of a pain to show you. So last week I'd done sort of, I've got a thread here that's coming out of nowhere. Now, last week I'd done sort of 1 3/4 of a sleeve, and this week I've attached sleeves to the body of the garment. It's going to look a bit of a mess because I've got it scrunched up on my needles still. So we've got 1 sleeve and then the body that's attached and sleeve number 2. So I'm now knitting across the yoke area, and I'm just about to do all the cabley bits. I've done the sort of setup rows for that. You can see that there's some holes under the armpit that need to be grafted afterwards, but I'm going to go back to that later as the instructions tell me in the pattern. So the pattern is a tin can knits pattern called the Antler Cardigan, and there's going to be some beautiful cables just here where my face is once I actually pull my finger out and get on with it. But I have actually done quite a bit of that. I think I could possibly do it in a week, but considering I've got a new cast on that I'm going to tell you about, I haven't started yet, but I've got it planned. That might take some more time, but I've still got to keep chipping away at it. So the yarn I'm using for this cardigan is my own hand-dyed yarn, and it's in the Living on a Prayer colourway, but it's actually a new base that I haven't got in the shop yet, so I'm testing that out. And it's an Aran weight yarn because I've got no Aran weight yarn in the shop just yet. But this one is a merino with some Donegal nepping, which I think is quite nice and textured. So that's the project that I've been working on first. Well, that's the project that I've shown you first. Project number 2 that I've been working on this week, I've actually picked up my Country Garden socks up again. So I've knitted a couple of pairs of these, but this is knitted out of my I'll Be There For You colourway, with the sort of lilac-y purple contrast, and I decided to do the trellis pattern in the same as the cuff and the heel, because I thought that would go nicely. And I have cast on a second sock, but I did this without having the first sock in the bag, and I've realised that I've done loads more rows. I thought, I wrote the pattern, I don't need to look at it. So I've done too much ribbon, so I'm going to have to rip that back, but at least I've made a start, eh? So I've done the cuff on there, but I'm sure it won't take me too long to tink it back and get on knitting with my second sock. So that's the Country Garden socks, and I also have the cowl mittens and the berry pattern, which I have available on Ravelry, which are all patterns that can be knitted for the Country Garden knit along, which you'll find notes for in the Ravelry group. I'll reiterate myself again. So that's my second project. Third project on the needles is my Cozy Memories blanket, and I've been a bit pathetic here. I've only done 2 squares, but I thought I'd show them to you anyway. Now these 2 squares, and I think that these are both from Rosie's Moments, and it was from the Fibre East that I went to last year. So I'm still trying to catch up with the yarn I bought last year, which is really naughty. I didn't mention it on the last podcast, but you can see that I'm doing the chevrons in the other direction now. So I did 7 of them going in this direction, 7 of them going in that direction, and then I just started going in the other direction again. And it is quite a large blanket. Ta-da! This blanket has got all different colours in it, and I'm just trying to do a sort of a checkerboard effect where I have dark light, so that it gives a nice balance to it. Although it doesn't always work in all cases, but that's what I'm going for. That's what the plan is. So we have the crochet bit next, and I've gone a bit mad with my crochet, I'm afraid. So I'm doing the Nature's Walk crochet along, which is a lovely blanket by Sandra Paul from the Cherry Heart podcast. And the pattern is actually free on Ravelry, but if you buy the kit from Black Sheep Wools, you can actually get some of the extra bonus squares. So some of these that I'm going to show you are bonus squares. So last week on the podcast I showed you I'd done this butterfly square, which is one of the bonus squares. And I'd also started doing the gates pattern. So the gates pattern is a beautiful sort of representation of those country garden gates. I thought that was really sweet. And obviously a butterfly is a butterfly. So I have been really busy, and I've actually managed to get quite a few of these done. So I've done 4 of the gates ones, and that's the normal free pattern that you can get off Ravelry. And then I've done 5 of the butterfly ones. I went a bit mad really. So I've got 5 of those done, even though I was only supposed to do 4. So I'm going to probably have some extra squares on this crochet along, so it'll probably be bigger than the original. I might have to buy myself some more yarn as well. So 5 of these, 4 of these squares. Little pile coming along there. I also did show you on the last podcast that I'd done the test square pattern, which was this lovely heart. You can probably see that better on the top. There we go. We've got boob cam. Oh dear. And I've also done 1 each of the squares for this week's pattern. So the berries square has got some lovely, yeah, I think boob cam's better so you can see the detail. So you can see that there's a lovely lacy pattern on the side of this square, and I've actually stuck to the colours in the pattern. So, and then I started on one of these squares as well, and this is called the wheat square, and it's got some beautiful textured stitches on there. I really enjoyed making that, and I'm really looking forward to making another 3 each of these. So according to the pattern I need 4 of these in total each, and then I'd be up to date. Goodness knows how I'm going to keep up with all these things, but I'm going to try. So I now have a lovely little pile of blanket squares ready to go in my Nature's Walk blanket, and I love the colour scheme. So the yarn that I'm using is actually what the yarn that the pattern was written in, and it's a stone washed sheepies yarn, and it's a mixture of acrylic and cotton. It's mostly cotton, it's 78% cotton but 22% acrylic, and it's actually a really lovely soft yarn and very nice to work with. I did notice though that bits that I'd crocheted up and then I've sort of undone a little while later, that it just gets snagged and caught because it's got a bit of a halo on it. So if you're going to undo it straight away. That's my tip. But the colours I'd got in the kit were these ones. So they were from Black Sheep Wools, and initially they had to change some of the colours because they'd run out of the stock of some of them. I think it was... this purple one was a lighter lilac originally. The beige is slightly creamier, and then this bright pink had replaced a very pale pink. And I liked the other colours, but I thought that this bright pink here was just a little bit bright. So I thought I found another source to buy some of the pale pink from. So that's what it's going to look like now. Oops! Basically juggling loads of yarn today. So that's how it's going to look. And the colour that I got from the original colour set is Rose Quartz, because I thought that that looked nicer, because it's just sort of a more muted palette really, and I'm really pleased that I managed to get some of those. Just show you the colourways again. And I was going to show you where I got it from. So I picked up 4 balls from Gillian Glad Rags, and it's just a separate shop on, I just googled it and I found that she'd got some, so I was able to pay on PayPal, so it's a nice easy transaction, and it actually came super quick, so I was really pleased about that. And I definitely recommend this website. I will put a link to this in the show notes as well, so that you can find her website quite easily. So that's good. So I'm getting along with my crochet quite well, but I do need to start on a new project. I should have done this in the knitting section actually, and I've merged a little bit of confessions in there with my crochet, if you haven't noticed. I've not had a separate confessions little section, but there you go. I'm changing it up a bit. So as you all know, Stephen West is doing another mystery knit along. I know I don't need to start another project, but I flippin' love Stephen's patterns. They're so exciting. And also it's a mystery, so it's exciting. You're knitting something, you don't quite know how it's going to turn out. Even though it might be all wrong, it'll be fine. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to work with everybody. So I did show you on the last episode that these are the colours I might go for, and I've decided to go for these in the end. So this one here is Nobody Does It Better, on my merino nylon base, and on the same base is My Ordinary World, and I think that those two colourways will go together really nicely for my new Stephen West shawl, and it's the Starflake Mal, because it's a completely mystery knit along. So if you haven't done one of Stephen's mystery knit alongs before, you basically get a clue each week and you have to knit up what those instructions say, and then you don't know what it'll look like in the end, or you don't know what next week's clue will be, so it's all very exciting. I love that. So I'm going to go round to my friend Rob's on Friday, and we are going to cast on the Starflake shawl together, because Rob's into the make-alongs too, and it's lovely to be able to cast on with friends, isn't it? So if it's not too difficult, I might be knitting that at Barbara's day out on Sunday, we'll see. If not, I might be casting on another pair of socks so that I can chat at the same time. We'll see about that. And I'm so sorry it's going to be a really short episode for this week. But like I said, next week I will be doing the Blast from the Past and Gadget section for this month. And hopefully get some more tutorials out for you in the coming weeks. So watch out for that soon. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you on the next episode. Bye!